Let's start at the beginning, and that's with our studio setup. Now, the best way that I can show you guys how to set up a studio is just kind of to show you mine. So I'm going to walk you through my studio. We're going to talk about stuff like space and floors and walls and workbenches and so on. So let me flip the camera around. And here we go. I work in my garage. There's my car. And basically it's a 3-car garage. And so the third carport, I like commandeered it and made it into my Lampwork studio. So there's my kiln, my workbench. I have a sink that I use for cleaning my beads. And then of course on this side, I let my husband have a little bit of the garage for his stuff. So yeah, you don't need a whole lot of space. I have done lampwork beads on like a 4x4 table or a 5x5 table. So it doesn't take a whole lot of space. And of course, when you have more space, you buy more stuff. So that's the problem of having too much space, I guess, if that's a problem. I want to just start off also to let you guys know, you probably noticed, where's the ventilation? I am in the process of upgrading my ventilation. So we ripped out the old one and I'm getting a new one installed. But we're going to cover ventilation in a PowerPoint presentation. I don't want to influence you guys on ventilation. I want you to get out there with an expert and install good ventilation based on your work area. Okay, so let's start from the beginning, and that would be the floor. We're gonna go from the bottom and we're gonna work our way up. As far as floors go, you always want to keep in mind safety first, and that means a fireproof floor. Now, this is your basic concrete garage floor that we had coated with this speckly stuff. That's also concrete. So that way, when hot glass falls on the floor, it's not going to start a fire. So yeah, concrete, maybe your concrete patio, even a tile floor would work. If you've got a good tile on your floor, that would be fine. The thing you want to avoid with the floor is carpet. Do not make lampwork beads on a carpet floor. 1, because carpet is flammable, and 2, because it gives off fumes and it smells horrible, and you get these little plastic melted chunks that stick you in the feet. So, fireproof floor. I think that's pretty pragmatic approach. It's kind of common sense. Now, along with the floors, you want to think about the walls. And hubby and I bought this shelving setup from a closet company. Also, my torch is a little torch, and it's far enough away from the wall that I'm not too concerned with the walls getting hot. But if you have your torch kind of closer to the walls, you want to think about putting up some kind of protective barrier. And what I've seen and what I would recommend is go to your local home store and look at those concrete flooring panels that they have in the concrete department. I know they use them for floors, but you can also just put it up right in front of your torch to protect your walls from any heat. So keep that in mind. Think about your floors, but also think about the walls. Electrical, of course, is important. I've got lights that I have hooked up. Of course, my kiln. Now, with the kiln, again, you want to protect your walls. So I have my kiln on this rolling cart, and when I go to do my lamp work, I pull the cart out away from the wall so that things don't get too hot. So yeah, maybe think about, this is a big kiln, humongous, but think about the placement of your kiln, where you're going to put it, not too close to the wall. You want some separation there because these suckers do get hot. Okay, so we got walls, we've got walls, we've got the floor. Let's move on to the workbench. Now, hubby and I, we had some leftover granite from a kitchen project that we did, and we just mounted this granite on a workstation, a work table that we got at the local hardware store. It's pretty beefy, but the granite was really, really heavy. And you don't have to go to this extent. I think it looks cool. I really love it because the granite is so fireproof. But I have also made beads on just a plastic table that is covered with either a piece of sheet metal like this. This is a really thick, heavy piece. Or even with tiles. So plastic table works, those folding tables, just make sure, again, cover it with something that's fireproof, whether it's a piece of sheet metal or whether it's tile or whether it's those concrete boards. You want to protect your plastic and your wood tables from fire because you will drip hot glass onto your table. The other thing I can say about workstation is, you know, have a good comfy seat. I know this looks horrible. Look at this. Duct tape, pillows. It's all worn. I enjoy sitting in my chair. Get something ergonomic so that you can sit there for a little while, because you will sit there for a little while. And then I had my hubby install a sink. This is where I clean, I etch, I do some polymer clay, so I have a little stove there. And yeah, it's handy, but you can always clean your beads outside. For the longest time, I was sitting in the grass with a garden hose cleaning my beads. We'll get to cleaning beads at some point, but you know, it's handy to have a sink that is dedicated to cleaning. And I think that pretty much covers it as far as basic setup. So that's my studio. Let me show you. This is a very well-used Lampwork workstation. I do have this thing called a creation station that I don't really use these, but they're used for resting your hand on, and it helps if your arms get tired. I don't use it, but it is handy. And again, we'll get into that later. But I did want to show you. I was going to clean it, and then I was like, oh man, I'm going to just show these guys what a busy workstation looks like. Of course, I have my broken tablet that I listen to documentaries on. I have a desk lamp so I can see. I have little hooks so I can hang up my tools and have access to them. And I have this big bucket of sand that I keep my mandrels in, but also I figure, you know what, if I have a fire, I can just dump this bucket of sand on my fire. And finally, and the most important thing is, you want to think about your fire extinguisher. Get a fire extinguisher, mount it somewhere where you know where it is, easy access, and that, you guys, is my studio.